Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video I'm going to be talking about whether or not you should buy a car right now. I've made several videos talking about what's happening in the car market, and it seems like sometimes there's a little bit of confusion because some people are like, oh, he says one thing and then another, and here's the deal. I have held one singular opinion over the course of this entire situation, and that still holds to today, and we're going to talk about that singular opinion. And so with that being said, before we get into the video, as always, if you want to save time and money the next time you purchase a car, link to my car buying guide in the description down below. And then if you want to see more videos just like this, then I recommend you subscribe because I post content every single day. Let's get into it. So the opinion that I have held throughout this entire video series is that right now is not the best time to purchase a car. And that's why at the end of almost every single video I say, despite, the positive things I might have mentioned in this video, I think that the best thing to do is wait. I haven't flip-flopped my opinion. I do talk about, certain positive things that are coming out of this situation, but ultimately, I haven't changed my mind on the market. I think that the market still has a lot more pain to go through, and that means that it's, again, probably not an ideal situation to purchase in. And I want to kind of dive into my whole thought process with that opinion. So the first thing is interest rates, and this is a big deal because interest rates are just way too high. And I get comments all the time from people saying that, well, this is what interest rates used to be like. And cool story, bro. We just came off of a decade of record low interest rates. This is what the car market has adjusted to. And this, frankly, is why car prices are as high as they are because, well, low interest rates means cheap money, which means that, well, prices can kind of get bid up. It's the same thing with houses. And so when we are coming off of a market of record low interest rates into a market that has quote unquote normal interest rates, well, it's going to take time for the market to adjust. And the car market definitely hasn't adjusted. And so I feel like right now, if someone goes and purchases a car and takes out a loan, they're kind of getting screwed in a sense because they're paying a much higher interest rate than what they would have paid just a few months ago, and they're still not getting what I would consider a great deal on a vehicle. Now, yes, there are definitely deals to be had, but in terms of the average car that you'll buy in today's market, you're going to be paying more for that car than what you would have paid a few years ago. And now you're going to be paying more money on the money that's associated with buying that car than you would have just a few months ago. And so again, for me, logically, it doesn't make any sort of sense. It's why would someone willingly go and pay more money on every single front of a car deal? It just doesn't make sense. Now, the next part of this whole situation for me is when I look at the used car market. I mean, it is just an absolute poop show, and I've said this time and time again. Used car values are declining on a weekly basis at a rate that is much higher than what you typically see in a normal market. And so, when I look at that, I go, why would anyone willingly purchase a used car? Now, I understand that there are people that are in situations where they have to purchase a used car because, maybe their car broke down or maybe they got into an accident. I understand that. And for those people, yeah, you got to do what you got to do. But for most people, it's not a need, it's more of a want. And I'm like, okay, why can't you just be patient? Because right now, if you purchase a used car, you're going to experience normal depreciation plus the market adjustment that's currently happening. And so that means that you are going to lose so much money. And it's willingly too. That's the crazy part because at this point, everyone kind of understands that the economy is not in a great place. And so it's why would you willingly put yourself in a situation where you're just gonna, throw your money away? And then the next thing that really pushes me out is the trade-in offers that dealers are giving customers. Because yes, of course, since wholesale values on used cars have declined, that means that a trade-in, which is a used car, is not going to be worth as much as what it was in the past. But I've also been talking about how dealers have kind of been overcompensating. They have been offering way lower than what they should on a car because they're worried about the declines we're going to see in the future. And so again, that's another reason where I'm why trade in your car right now? Why not just wait until this whole market situation levels off? Or, if you happen to find a dealer or, some sort of third party that's willing to pay top dollar for your car still, because there are those dealers and, third party sites still out there that are paying top dollar for cars. Why not just sell your car now and then wait for, again, like I said in the last point, the used car values to decline even more. So then you're getting more money for your car now, and then you'll pay less money for the car that you buy in the future. So either way you look at it, it's you're either going to get lowballed like crazy if you trade in your car right now, or you'll be able to get more money for your car, but then it doesn't really make sense to buy anything right now because values are still declining. So that's just something else that I feel is not worth contending with for the average consumer right now. And this leads directly into the new car market. New cars are just way overpriced right now. Like, it's crazy the price increases we've seen over the course of the last year. And there's not really a lot of new cars that really make sense to purchase because, well, they just don't have enough incentives to really offset the extra cost that you're paying for that vehicle. And then again, add the increase in interest rates, and it just doesn't make any sort of logical sense. And something that I think is really telling of just how bad of a deal you will get on most new cars is that there just aren't that many incentives from most manufacturers right now. And so it's like you're still paying MSRP, or sometimes, dealers are still asking over MSRP in some cases, and then you're paying that higher interest rate that I mentioned earlier in the video. And so it's like, why would you buy a new car right now? Like, unless you can get just an enormous discount off of MSRP, I just don't think it makes sense, because right now new cars are overpriced by about probably like 30-ish%. Like, they need to come down that much in price before they actually start to make some sort of sense. And so why would you pay essentially a 30% premium on a new car and pay, a 5, 6, 7, 8% interest rate, whatever you qualify with your credit on that car? It's like, by the end of the loan, you're gonna be paying so much more for that car than what it's actually worth, that it's like, why buy it? Why? Seriously. And speaking of new cars, the quality of new cars right now is just horrible. Post-COVID cars are not good whatsoever. I see so many paint defects on a daily basis, and I am not a super detail-oriented person when it comes to paint. Like, I just look at a car and I go, that looks good or that doesn't look good. And when I look at vehicles and go, that's got something wrong with the paint, that tells you that that has something really wrong with the paint. And it's not just paint. It's also, panel gaps. I see that more commonly now than I did prior to COVID. And then just, frankly, features on vehicles just not working properly. Like, maybe, I'll review a pickup truck and it'll have like a drop down tailgate. I press the button, nothing happens. Or maybe remote start, or maybe like a touchscreen doesn't work on a car. There's so many different features that vehicles are delivered with, and those features don't end up working. And this is why we're having this situation where there are so many recalls on vehicles right now, and there are so many warranty claims as well on vehicles, because stuff just isn't working, and manufacturers are trying to keep up, and they're just not able to keep up. And it's not just brands that are normally associated with a lack of reliability. It's also reliable brands as well. A good example is I just reviewed a Toyota 4Runner today, and the 4Runner had two things wrong with it. The first thing that was wrong with it is it had this dash cam system that was constantly beeping, and it was having these weird power fluctuations, and it was a thing that was on the window sticker. And then the other thing is the shifter for four-wheel drive was completely turned 130 degrees. Now, I thought that maybe it was just a twisted head, oh, I can just twist the shifter. I tried. And I obviously, it's not my vehicle, so I'm not gonna really try to force it, but I tried to twist it a bit, and it was no, the whole shifting mechanism was put in that car improperly. That is the type of quality that we're seeing even from manufacturers that are typically known for quality and reliability. And so I feel that's another reason why someone just shouldn't purchase a car right now. Is you're going to purchase a car and you're going to have issues with it right out of the gate, and then if you keep it for a long period of time, chances are you're going to have issues with it long term as well. So why do it? And finally, I know that this is a car channel, but I also want to talk about the broader economy, because when you look at the broader economy, it kind of shows that, well, maybe now is not the best time to purchase something. Everything that I've researched into basically shows that 2023 is probably not going to be a great year. We're probably going to have more contraction within the overall economy, more layoffs, and just pay cuts for a lot of different positions. And so then, I look at that and I go, why would anyone want to go and take out a car loan on a brand new car or even a used car when, again, the values are going to decline by a massive amount on both of those vehicles, because that's just the car market that we're in. You're going to pay a higher interest rate on those vehicles, and again, on the new car side of things, you're not getting the incentives that you should get, and then with all that taken into account, you might lose your job next year or you might get a pay cut. Why do it? I think that until everything starts to really smooth out in the economy and things kind of figure themselves out, again, I just don't think it's necessarily worth going and making such a big purchase. So to summarize, even though I make videos talking about how there are certain positive elements within the car market and how there are some deals that could be had, overall, for the average consumer, right now is not an ideal time to purchase a car. Yes, there are people that'll be in a position where they basically have to purchase a car. But if you're not in that position, I would just be patient. I would wait to see what happens with the new car market, with the used car market, and with the overall economy. And I think that that is the safest bet with everything that's happening right now, because again, just put yourself, like, just do that mental experiment. Put yourself in the position of someone that goes and takes out a big fat auto loan on a brand new car, and then they end up getting laid off next year, and so then they have this huge payment on a vehicle that they can't get rid of because, well, again, used car values are continuing to decline every single week, and they just simply overpaid for that new car because it didn't have the incentives that it needed to bring it down to what its actual market value should be. Do that thought experiment with yourself before you go and buy a car right now, and 9 times out of 10, you're probably going to realize, oh, I don't actually need to buy a car right now. It's more of a want rather than a need. Hopefully that helps you out, and hopefully that clarifies the whole situation for all of you. And that, again, that is the viewpoint that I have currently. If it changes, I'll let you guys know. But for right now, it's most likely not going to change anytime soon. I'll see you.